Welcome to the Itsy Guitar YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be ranking Marshall amplifiers. So I've already done Vox, I've already done Fender. I'll put a link in the description to a playlist where you guys can watch those. So the next one, obviously on the list, has to be Marshall. Now it's worth noting real quick that I don't have as much experience with Marshall as I do Fender and Vox. My first Marshall ever is my 100-watt JMP, just over my shoulder there. And you guys have seen on the channel. So I've added in some cabinets to make this a little bit more interesting because most Marshall amplifiers that we know and love come in head form. The cabinet is at least 50%, if not more, of the final equation, more so than with a Fender or a Vox typically, because those are more combo based. So I've added some cabinets to kind of round it out a little bit. Now, these are all amplifiers I own, have owned, friends own these, and I played them. I've worked on them, so to speak. There's kind of a decent range of stuff there. So it's not going to be every Marshall amp ever created, but it should be a decent list and a lot of recognizable models on here. So, real quick, the tier list, it's S tier to F tier. So it goes S tier, then it goes amazing, then very good, solid, meh, which is like kind of it's fine, not for me, and then F tier. And the final thing I'll say too is that this is all relative. So, if I rank something as an F, in this list, if it's that same model is in a different list with different amplifiers, it might not rank as an F. Doesn't mean that amp is an F, so to speak. Also, I'm just a guy on the internet, so don't take it too personally if I say something you don't like. And hey, let me know in the comments below where I messed up. So, okay, let's dive in. We'll start with the 18 watt here. Now, what is it, 1974X, 1975X, or 1984X? Those are the two different models. To be honest, it's really hard to follow with Marshall nomenclature. I really dislike it's kind of like Ibanez to me or Gretsch. It's just like, come on. These are very hard to follow, especially if they're similar to a year, like the 1959, Super Lead, Plexi. Anyways, it gets confusing, but 18 watts. So this is the 18 watt. They come in at 112 or 212. I've played both of them. The 212 is definitely cooler in my opinion. And yeah, so I think this is probably in between very good and solid. We'll have to see how the other amps start to line up and kind of move it around. We'll start in solid. So I have a buddy that has one of these. It's been modded a decent amount, so it's got an upgraded output transformer. It was a 112, we moved it to a 212. It's got two Celestian blues in it now, I think. It's had greenbacks before, and yeah, I can't remember what else. It might have had some other mods, I'm not remembering. But it's a very good sounding amp, but I don't know if it's going to land in very good once it's, I kind of say very good as it's a common way for me to say I like the amp. It's a good amp. Is it going to land in very good? Let's add some more. I think solid is probably roughly where it'll end up for me. I know the owner of that amp really, really likes it. And but I always struggle a little bit with Marshall combos, to be honest. We'll get into that more with some other models. To me, low wattage Marshall is just kind of a little odd. It's not what I want. I want a Marshall to be something that's going to punch you in the face usually. So again, this is my tier list. So we'll start with it in solid. We'll move on. So this is the modified 1959. So this is the Super Lead, a new model that they came out with at NAMM. And I actually went to NAMM, and that's where I got some experience with it. Played it a little bit, but mostly I heard it very loud. They were extremely loud at NAMM, and which I loved. Marshall coming to NAMM and rocking the place was right on brand. Love to see it. So this is a Super Lead that has some kind of popular mods you would see. So it's got a bright cap. You can switch in and out. It's got extra gain. It's got a master volume. I don't remember if it had anything else. I'd have to look back at the specs. But either way, I was really impressed. This thing sounded awesome. If you guys have checked out that pedal show, they did a video with it as well. It sounded great there. In person, it was just it was a monster of an amp. I didn't really get to hear the JCM 800 modified as much, but I was really blown away by this amp. So we're going to go in very good category there. It's also hand wired, which is nice. Next up, we'll go the 2203. So I own, it's actually just over my shoulder here. You can't see on camera. I own a 1979 JMP 2203. It's the same thing as a JCM 800, at least specifically the early first gen JCM 800s. And it's just, in my opinion, the best aesthetic for a Marshall head. It's my favorite. Personally, I love the strong white piping down the middle and how it really pops. I think it's very cool looking at the bigger, Marshall logo, as well as the rocker switches. I think it's an excellent amp. Probably going to end up in an amazing category for me. It's just such a great rocker. It's pretty aggressive, pretty bright. It's got a master volume that works okay, but it's kind of part of the sound. I think, it doesn't behave the same way as a master volume that you get in modern amps, or it's like a post-phase inverter master volume. Also, the low input is really useful. It's a dramatic decrease in gain. I believe it's a whole less gain stage. It's been a while since I've looked inside of mine, but yeah, the low input really opens the amp up for great cleans, and then the high input is just ripping. So I really like mine. It's going to go in amazing category. DSL 40. So it's been a long time since I played one of these, and it was the earlier model. I know they had changed it up a little bit, but I was pretty impressed overall. And if you guys, the OG Guitar YouTube fans, you'll know that on Andertons, this amp was like a staple for their Sound Like series they did, because it just works really well for the price point. It's solid. You can get different tones. It's got a decent clean, and it can go crazy high gain, what they call it the ultra high gain channel or something like that. So yeah, I will say too, the one I played, it had a speaker swap to a creamback. I really think it benefited that amp too. I know they can be a little fizzy at times, and the G1265 creamback just kind of rounds it off. So I think it's probably in the Mac category. It's not an amp I would personally want or use if I had the choice out of other amps that I own or will be on this list, but it's definitely serviceable. It's kind of in the same vein as a Hot Rod Deluxe, or I mean, it's more powerful than an AC15, obviously, but I kind of look at it in a similar area. I don't look at it like a competitor to an AC30, more an AC15, more Hot Rod Deluxe. So it's kind of in a similar spot for me. The Class 5, I don't know if they still make these or not, but I remember really, really wanting these when I was much younger, as kind of an amp to pair with my Blues Junior, actually, for a stereo rig. I was really, really hyped on that concept. And then I played one, and I did not think it sounded good at all. It's just a small little combo. It sounds small. Was not impressed at all. It's kind of borderline F tier, but we'll put it in not for me for now. Vintage Modern 2266. So this amplifier, it's a bit of a weird one, but it sounds good. It sounds good. They're pretty affordable, at least last time I looked, which has been a while. I had a buddy that owned one, and I was really impressed whenever I played it. So it's not a classic, quote unquote, but it does fly under the radar. It's going to probably end up in the bottom of solid, I think is where that'll go. Okay, Studio Vintage Combo, what do you call it? The SV20, I think is what they call it, 20 watt. Now, the head, I have a better opinion of. The combo, it's a 10-inch speaker, and I don't know if you could fit a 12 in. It seems like it'd be big enough to fit a 12. It's a small combo, but I mean, so is a Tweed Deluxe, but it can fit a 12 in it. To me, a Marshall with a 10-inch, just a single 10, is just weird. It's just wrong. It sounds fine. It's a pretty bright amp. It's modeled after the Plexi sound, so it's got a big old bright cap on it. I know people mod these to try and get them to be a bit more mellow. They'll clip the bright cap or change it to 100 picofarad or something. I know they'll mess with the coupling caps too, just to round it off a little bit. It's just a weird amp for me. It's a weird, I don't know who's looking for an amp that's that brash and with a 10-inch speaker. If you have a big 100-watt super lead, you kind of expect it to punch you in the face and be just brash and bright and punchy and have that kerrang. When you have a little 20-watt 10-inch speaker combo, even just the visuals with your brain, it's just, I don't know. I think when you see a Marshall half stack, your brain kind of braces for impact naturally. And that's, it's really, really hard to play a super lead that's correct spec, at the big old 5,000 picofarad or 4,700 picofarad bright cap, unless you have the thing really cranked up. They're brutal, but they sound good in the right context, as evidenced by a long, long history of recordings. So for this, I just didn't really get it. I think the head makes a little bit more sense because you can run into a bigger speaker or a 412 or a 212. I know they have the vertical 212, which is very cool for that. So for me, I just don't get this amp. I'm going to put it in F tier. Kind of is a similar vein as the Princeton non-reverb for me. I just don't really get the model. I don't see who it's for personally. Okay, this is the first cabinet that we're going to be reviewing, and this is the G1265 cabinet from the very early 80s. Now, I don't... Obviously, it depends. When we're judging these cabinets, we're going to assume it's got the right head paired with it. And the right head for this, I would say, would be the JMP 2203 right here. This cabinet, I really like. I picked it up off Guitar Center, and those speakers have a very specific mid-range to it. I like that it's higher wattage. They're not super efficient. It's not a very loud cabinet in comparison to some others. I'm a big fan of it. The aesthetics, it's kind of bland, blah, but also means it's a little bit under the radar. So I think it's going to go in very good category. And I'm not going to put any cabinets above amplifiers. We'll put them kind of below any amps. So we'll kind of just judge the cabs versus the cabs, but I want to make sure they're on here because I do think that's an important piece of the Marshall puzzle, being primarily heads, even though we've looked at a lot of combos. Okay, 2555. This is the 100-watt Silver Jubilee. I really want the 2553. Yeah, again, Marshall amp names, which is the 50-watt small box with the kind of mini slant cab that's a diagonal 212. I think that is a killer setup. I really want one of those. They're just so dang expensive. But the 2555 is a classic used by some incredible artists. I mean, John Frusciante comes to mind immediately. Joe Bonamassa. I mean, Joe specifically, his tone, that's a main piece of his rig. It used to be, they went away, then they came back, and I just think Joe's tone is unbelievable, and these amps are always a part of it. And I haven't spent a ton of time with them. I've only played the 2555 briefly, but I was really impressed with it. They got a great clean sound, and the gain is very unique to them. And they actually have a decent range in the EQ too, which you don't really see with other Marshalls as much. So I'm a pretty big fan of the 2555. I'm going to put it below the 2203. I think the 2203 has an extra cut to it. It's got extra... The 2555 is a little softer, I would say, which in some cases works well, but the 2203 is just so just in your face punchy, which I really appreciate in the right context. So I think we'll end up there, but it is an amazing amp. Okay, another cab. This is the G12H30 Blackback. So you see these in the kind of later 70s, and I really like these speakers a lot. People bag on the blackbacks. Maybe the G12M blackbacks aren't as good, but every G12H30 I've ever played, and I have one in this cabinet right here, they sound great. I really like that cab a lot. So I think that's going to end up... I think I like it more than... It's a little bit more classic than the G1265. The G1265 has a very specific mid-range honk that I appreciate, but I think if I had to choose one, I'd probably go with the blackback cab. Okay, 1959 JMP hand-wired, not referring to the reissue. This is my own personal 1972 JMP. So the 1959 name means it is a super lead. So mine used to be a super lead, and well, not a full super lead, but there's another super lead on here that is a factory super lead I'll get to. I've experienced with super leads enough to be able to speak to them, I think. And yeah, I think metal panel is a bit different than Plexi. We're talking about metal panel here. So early 70s, hand wired still though. So I'm going to put it probably here for now. We can rearrange this as we get going. Okay, another cabinet, G12H30 Heritage. So this is the modern Celestion remake of the G12H30. I don't think they do the Heritage series anymore. I really like these speakers. I have two in a 412 over here. And yeah, they sound very good. In comparison to the vintage ones, they don't sound like the vintage ones at all, at least not versus the G12H30 Blackbacks. They're pretty efficient. They got a little bit of a scooped sound to them. As a quad, I think they're probably low end of solid. I think. I think they work well paired with other speakers, but a quad, it's a good sound, but it's not necessarily the best. It's solid. All right, another cab. This is the last cabinet. No, one more cab on here. G12H30. Oh, I put on here a cross pattern. So G12H30 Heritage with the G12M. I really like this setup. There's a few boutique makers that'll do this, and that is currently what's in that cabinet after doing some experimentation. I'm going to put that above the G12H30 on its own. I think those two pair really well together, actually. Okay, so this is the 1974 plus super leads where they have the PCB, and that's going to go here. Effectively the same amp, but the PCB has to put it lower for me. It's just so much easier to work on the hand wires. They're more reliable, and depending on the PCB, well, the Marshall PCBs aren't very good. They're not great. The pads are pretty fragile, and it's all underside, so they're hard to reach to get to. So it's going to be lower there. The 2555 is also PCB, by the way. Okay, more cabinets. See, I don't have as many amps to pull from here, so I had to throw in some cabinets. So G12H30X V30. So this is the X pattern with V30s in the G12H30s. I'm going to put that above the G12M, G12H30. I used to have that set up, and it brought something really unique to the table, I thought, and just a little bit more interesting, I think, versus the G12M. Okay, instant S tier. Sorry, keep coughing. I'm kind of getting over a little bit of sickness here. So the 1986, so that is not the year, that is the base model 50 watt. I just had one. Actually, I still have it. You guys will see it on the channel soon. This is instant S tier for me. This amp is incredible. One of the best amps I've ever heard. And I really like this circuit. It's not super bright and brash. It's very usable across the volume range. So gradual as it breaks up. It's just got such a good tone. Anywhere, any setting is good. Clean is good. Mid gain is good. Turned all the way up. It's got a lovely sag to it. I'm a huge fan of that. I might even bump up. No, we're going to wait. Okay, this is a Park, which is, if you don't know, Park is a Marshall. It's just kind of a Marshall in different clothes. This is a PA circuit, a Buddy's amplifier. So it's Park 75. It was converted to EL34s, and so it's not a P75, it's a 50 watt at that point with two EL34s. And it's the PA circuit. I'm going to put the PA circuit. I think the PA circuit is probably towards the top of amazing. I wouldn't say it's S tier. I don't think the PA circuit is good as the bass circuit or the lead circuit. So if you don't know, the PA circuit is very similar to the bass circuit, except it does not have a cap on the bright channel mixing resistor. So the two channels are, I believe, effectively the same. So yeah, just not as interesting to me, but still an incredible sounding amp for sure. Okay, Holy Grail. This goes up at S tier. Pulsonic G12M. That's the T1221. So that cabinet over there, I don't know if you can see it or not, hidden behind the fender, is loaded with those. They just sound so good. And especially when they're worn in, they're not harsh, they're warm. They just have a lovely woody character to them. They're the classic for a reason. So that's where those are going to go. Lead and bass 50. Okay, so this is a very rare amplifier. I believe the story goes that these were mail order only. And actually, this one was a friend of mine's, and he sold it to Joe Bonamassa, who's got it. So I think it's that. I don't know if that tells you anything, but it's kind of interesting. And yeah, we got to play it and check it out before he sold it to Joe. And I thought it was definitely solid. Probably probably around here, I would say. Again, maybe I'm a little biased against the combo Marshalls. Yeah, it was solid. I would say it was solid. trying to think if there's anything really noteworthy about it. So it's basically like the two, you got a lead and a bass model, if I remember correctly, for the two channels, and or for the two sounds it can do. 50 watt. I don't remember being blown away by the sound, but it was a classic Marshall sound. We had some other amps that day that were spectacular, so I think it overshadowed it a little bit for me. So I think it'll probably maybe end up here above the 18 watt. And last but not least, we've got the super bass. So this is the 100 watt JMP super bass, and the reference amp is my own personal 1972 hand wired. I'm going to put this in S tier. Now, I think the super bass circuit, I wasn't really a believer in it. Uh, I don't know why. I just thought super lead's the one you want. And then I played my buddy's Park, which was a Mitch Colby kind of clone with a lot of vintage components in it. Marin transformers, best of the best. That amp is incredible. I did a video on that on the channel. One of the best amps I've ever heard. And I'm not including on here because it's not a made by Marshall amplifier. But anyways, that thing was unbelievable. And I recently converted my my JMP, which originally started life as a super bass, then was converted in 1974 to a super lead, and then converted back to a super bass as of this week, so in 2025. And I'm really loving the super bass circuit again. Going back to the Plexi, which is actually what inspired me to do this change, it's just so much more versatile. The volume range, it sounds good at any setting, clean, a little bit of crunch, all the way up. It sounds incredible. With the Super Lead, the problem with it is it only sounds good if the amp's on 7. It has to be 7 or higher, or you blend a ton of the normal channel in there. And yeah, I just think they're really, really one-trick pony. Incredible trick. A Super Lead it's an incredible trick, but it only works in a specific context of recording some like pretty heavy rock stuff, or if you're, on a massive stage and the type of music you're playing kind of gives space for that. Otherwise, it's just not really usable. The bright cap is so powerful that, again, if the amp is not on 7, then it is incredibly thin and bright. And if you're on 7 and it's kind of mellowing out a little bit, there's so much drive to the amp, especially the metal panels, like what I have, that it becomes hard to manage. It's so much gain that you don't really have anywhere to go. So if you need to do a solo or something, hit a boost pedal, it's not going to get any louder. So for that reason, I'm going to put the super lead circuits lower, and I'm going to put the super bass in S tier. Really, honestly, there's an argument that could be made that this should be S tier. I'm convincing myself. S tier in real time because it's just such a classic, but I'm definitely putting the super bass above the super lead. And then I think we'll put, and then I like the rest here. I guess this has to be an S tier, the super lead with a PCB, because it's effectively the same thing. It's going to sound pretty much the same. So I guess it has to be there. PA circuit, feel good about that. 2203, I really, really like the 2203 a lot. And in a lot of ways, I like it more than the super lead, but I do think it probably has to be a little bit below that for historical reasons, and it just doesn't quite do that sound exactly. It does its own thing, which is really so classic. You see it all over, 90s pop punk, alternative rock. Like it's 2203s are all over everything. So there's a lot to be said there, but I don't know if I could put it above a Plexi, even if it's a PA circuit. Okay, I feel pretty good about this. S tier. Let's lock that in. I think that's solid. Amazing. I'm gonna put this cab up here. I'm gonna do this. No, I'm gonna do this. Yeah, okay, I like that better. So amazing. We got the PA circuit Plexi, the 2203, the 2555, and I'm gonna put the black backs. Very good. We got the modified 1959 and then the G1265 cabinet. Solid lead and bass 50. That's good. 18 watt. I mean, the 18 watt, I don't know. I just don't love it as much. I don't love it as much. I can't really quite state why, but I didn't love it that much. I thought it was a solid amp. Sounds good. I'm going to keep it there. Vintage Modern 2266, I think really more just surprised me than anything. I don't know if it would hold up against a 2203 or a Super Lead or anything like that for the kind of tones I like, but it impressed me. And then cabinets, those always go last. G12H30 V30 combo above the G12H30 G12M combo, above just G12H30s. I think that's probably correct. Meh, DSL40, yeah, it's fine. Finally, the bottom two categories, not for me. The Class 5, I think, is a good fit there. And then the F tier, Studio Vintage combo. I might get some hate for that, but I'll further clarify it just to finish off here. So the Class 5 is a small 5-watt combo. It's a 10-inch speaker. It's affordable. You kind of know what you're getting with that. It's not something where it's like, oh, this is a serious amp. You don't look at a Class 5 and go, this is a serious amp. You look at it as like, oh, this is a fun little grab and go practice amp, or a cool, really small amp for a stereo rig or something, very portable. You kind of know what you're getting into the Class 5. So it's not for me, but it's not F tier. The F tier I would reserve for the Studio Vintage combo for the reasons I already stated. I think they're like $1,800, $1,600, something like that in the US. I know they're a lot cheaper in the UK. Fair. This will be different if they were $1,000 or something. But for that kind of money, it's kind of like, oh, you get this classic plexi tone, but it's usable, right? I think that's kind of how they frame it. But it's a little 10-inch speaker in this combo. It doesn't sound big. It's really brash and bright. And I don't know. I just didn't really find that many redeeming qualities to it for that kind of money. It just doesn't really make sense in the market. I don't know how well they sell. I bet the head does a lot better than the combo. And again, I would rank the head higher, but I've used the combo, not the head. So that's why it's on this list. But I'm pretty happy with this overall. I think that covers it. Now, I know you guys will have differing opinions. So let me know in the comments below, where did I mess up? What did I get right? What would you change? Are there any amps? Somebody mentioned an amp I totally forgot in the Fender series, the Vibro King. I love that amp. I totally forgot. It's been years since I used one, which is why I forgot about it. So I'm sure as you guys add in amps, I might forget, or I might be reminded of ones I forgot. But overall, I think this covers a decent range of Marshall amplifiers I have firsthand experience with. So with that, we'll end it here. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe for more. I've got another tier video coming up where I'm going to take I haven't decided yet exactly how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to take some of the upper echelon of Marshall, Fender, and Vox, and then we're going to shoot it out between those and see what ends up in S tier, amazing, and so on and so forth with that. So stay tuned, subscribe for more, and until next time, see ya.